This is The Focus Group with business insiders Tim Bennett and John Nash.
I fought worse monsters than you for years in Hollywood. I know how to win the hard way.
We're all business, except when we're not.
Don't f with me, fellas! This ain't my first time at the rodeo.
Welcome to The Focus Group. John Nash here with my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Tim Bennett. Find us here every Wednesday live on YouTube and Facebook. And if you are watching us live, thanks for tuning in. You can always call us and join the conversation at 1-877-962-6846. Feel free to call anytime. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions you might have or take your point of view. Focus Group Radio is our website, and that is where you can go to find all the information about every platform we're on, audio and video. And I had an experience yesterday where someone pulled out their phone and they asked about the podcast, and they said, "Are you on Stitcher?" We're on Stitcher.
We're pretty
on
much
Google
anywhere
Play,
you can be
we
on,
need
right?
to be. Yeah,
Where we need to be. So
in the booth, by the way, or we'll do that in a sec because Garrett's in here. But we were just told by our incredible staff that Tim's look today is lumber sexual.
lumber section. Now it's different because I'm looking in this camera. See if you see that one, John.
You look fine.
This one's a little bright.
Yeah.
But I got this at the Costco, and it was $12.99. It's called the Brawny Flannel. I like it because it's a buffalo plaid. But then I don't know. I had a sweatshirt on, and then I asked you what I thought. I don't know.
I'm glad you're wearing this. So in the
for
booth,
Thanksgiving.
in the booth, we have Garrett, we have John, and we have Allie. And they're the ones who just told us that this is, you guys, you've coined this term. And because John wears lumbersexual shirts sometimes, right?
It's lumbersexual all the time.
All the time.
Who else is a lumbersexual? What other host?
I don't think,
you.
I don't think Garrett
You
is.
now.
Gavin.
It's all you.
Is Gavin a lumbersexual?
He
He's
could
just
be.
sexual.
Yeah,
No,
he
no,
likes
no.
that look. He's Canadian. He
Guys,
It's just sexual, right,
let's
John?
be real about him. He was a metrosexual.
Totally. Oh, yeah.
You know, a free speech metrosexual.
And he was
You know what that
John's
really
secret
means?
crush.
That means he gets to go to Ted Baker and speak freely in the store. I'll buy that shirt for $120. That's, anyway.
They'll all tell me in the booth. He was your little crush.
Yeah, I
You were
love
like a
Gavin.
schoolgirl when you saw
Like
him.
Gavin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to get under that.
Tried to get underneath, but he wasn't letting you in.
No.
No.
That was that wasn't going nowhere. That was going nowhere. All right, so hey, we're here at the beginning of the holiday season.
It's the holiday season.
You know, there's going to be eggnog. So this is it, man.
Should have had eggnog.
Well, no. Next broadcast is going to. No, we have one more on this set, and then the Christmas.
We get our
set,
Christmas
the
set.
Christmas set. But this is it. This is the slide into oblivion because from here we go into the Thanksgiving Day parade. Thanksgiving is a great holiday. We love it. Lots of traveling going on. Then it's going to be Hanukkah, Christmas, the whole bit, all the way to the New
People are
Year.
upset that they think that Christmas is co-opting Thanksgiving now.
I've already
It's
seen ads
already
for
it's
it.
already hijacked Halloween. Now it's hijacked. Well, it's because it's the moneymaker, I guess. But Thanksgiving is the most American of holidays, right? There's no. It's
There is a
very
Canadian
secular.
Thanksgiving, right?
October 1st.
October 1st.
Hold up
okay.
there.
I agree with you. I've already seen TV ads that are themed. They haven't expressly used Christmas music but it's definitely a holiday ad. and
No,
they're not
Christmas
talking
arrived at
about
the Costco in August.
Yeah.
And they started putting this stuff out.
you say in August?
August. And Labor Day at Lowe's and Home Depot and those sort of places, at Labor Day came and out came Christmas.
Okay, we were at Aldi last weekend, and Aldi, Tim turned me on to Aldi years ago, and I buy very specific things.
Did you get the
there.
pita crackers?
We get and with the
blue
salt.
box, sea
Yeah, the
salt.
blue
Yeah,
box
those
with
are
sea
the best.
salt. And then we were walking down holiday aisle, which is, I guess, the seasonal or temporary aisle. You know, it's not always there. And they had the cases of the flats of the stolen bread.
Stolen bread.
And so I said I should buy one of these and save it for Tim. And Bob just kind of looks at it and he goes, I think you need to eat that.
Yeah.
Right. And then I asked you about it and you said, yeah, they have to be fresh. So
So here was the one odd thing I thought. So I went to Costco yesterday to get pies for my mom. First of all, pumpkin pie, $5.99. And it's a great pie.
it's a great pie.
So you can't beat it. But they had a whole table, huge table, of fruitcakes. And I'm just wondering if they just put them out every year and they put the same. I mean, do you know anyone?
That would mean that every Costco has a pallet of fruitcake in the corner, and then they move it out.
The only one I ever knew who ate fruitcake was my grandfather.
Have you had a piece lately?
No, I didn't like those candied fruit things inside of it.
that
It's like a
was-
dark cake, right?
I would prefer like
Did you like
walnut
fruit
bread or something. No, I'm not a fruitcake fan.
I was tempted to buy one just to say, should we give it another try? Because I'm imagining if it's good, Costco's would be good. But I don't know
Does
anyone who
Aldi
eats
do fruitcake?
I don't know that.
Well, maybe
I'm sure they do.
let's play this by ear because maybe next time you're at Costco, you
do a
you pick up
fruitcake
the
tasting.
and we do a stolen too.
Okay, that's a good idea.
And then everybody, oh, of course, the whole booth's nodding yes because all the food goes into the booth. Oreos,
Yeah.
stolen, fruitcake, you name it. Hey, so on the show today, we're going to have a shop talk that Tim found, which I think is perfectly themed for the upcoming holiday. How to dodge political conversations with your family during the holidays. And believe me, we all have families where people are all on the different spectrum politically, and I agree with dodging that. This is one of the reasons I love having kids around. If there's kids at an event, I just go see the kids. It's time for Legos. It's time for Candyland. I don't want any of the adult who said what, who's voted this way. And then Tim also arranged a very cool thing for later in the show.
Right. So we've got, for those of you who like turkey, which who doesn't, we're going to all be eating turkey this week. So
Better like
Nicole Johnson, who's the co-director of the Butterball Turkey Talk Line, which has been in existence since 1981, is going to talk turkey with John and I. And I've been given very specific instructions. Apparently, they get over 200,000 calls a year.
Yeah, and so she's waiting for
But
this
today's a busy
one.
day, and we've got a call within a minute. So if we rush through a little something to get to that time, you'll know what the reasoning is. But it'll be interesting to talk to her. Just to find out about what a great thing. I imagine they just get all kinds of crazy calls.
Okay. I'm not going to ask her this, but I'll say it now. For years, there was a recycled story that would always show up in Penthouse
Really?
or Playboy, and it was about a guy who's at home cooking a turkey. Wife is out, family's coming, and then it's pulled out of the oven and it sits on the counter for a while and it cools down, and then he
Enjoys it?
screws the turkey.
Oh, stop.
And I remember that was like an urban legend kind of thing. And then years later, there was actually an article in the New York Daily News about the famous Penthouse turkey and stuffing story. So apparently they would run that, and it was almost it's like a National Lampoon thing, frankly.
Like
right?
we're off the week of Thanksgiving. I'll run the stuffing.
turkeys and the
Run the
stuffing.
screw and the
story.
bird story again.
That's it. There you go. That's why we love you. You nailed it. Screwing the bird story. That's exactly right.
Oh yeah, you got that. Oh yeah, we have it.
That's in file 5. Get that. So, as we're moving along, because we have a lot to cover, what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Garrett, are you drinking?
The eggnog's great in here.
We don't have any out here. So this week I don't know why I picked this. I just found it funny. You might not find it funny. If anyone who goes to Philadelphia, they're famous for their cheesesteaks. So you can't get it'd be very difficult for you to get a bad cheesesteak in Philadelphia. Probably similar to New York. It's probably tough to get a bad piece of pizza, or it's Detroit with the Coney dogs. Every city has their famous food.
All vendors are creating great cheesesteaks?
I've not really had a bad cheesesteak in Philly. Some you might prefer different types of the way they prepare the meat. But one of the originals down in South Philly, there's two cheesesteak places. One's Pat's and one's Gino's, and they're right across the street from each other. And the rivalry's been going on for 40 years, 50 years. So there's this one guy named Richard Lussi, Lussi. I think I'm pronouncing it right. He always joked that when he died, he wanted to take something with him to eat in the afterlife. So his family asked him what it would be, and he said, well, I'd like a Pat's cheesesteak, of course. And he says it's a Pat's whiz without. So it's a cheese wit. So when you go to order a cheesesteak down there, you say wit, which means with cheese wit or cheese without.
W-I-T.
So wit means onion and without. So and this cheese whiz is the real cheese. You can't do when John Kerry went down to provolone or something. It's cheese whiz, onions, and meat on the roll, soft roll. It's delicious.
But that's all truncated to
Cheese wit.
Wit. Okay.
2 cheese wit.
2 cheese wit.
Yeah. I can take
Boy,
you down there.
oh boy, you got. And if you show up at the window and you don't do it right, they know
like
you are.
It's like the soup
okay.
Nazi
Okay.
on Seinfeld. You
I
got to
love
know
that.
what you're doing. So when he died last month, they thought, well, we've got to go down and get him cheesesteak. So he lives 2.5 hours away. He lives in Lucerne County in Pennsylvania. And he used to challenge family members, they said, to drive to Philadelphia and get him cheesesteaks and bring them back. So he and his kids and his and friends got in the car and they drove to Philadelphia. And they remembered what the father always said, that if you go there, you can't just buy one cheesesteak, you got to buy a couple, otherwise you're wasting your time. So they go down there, they get 2 cheesesteaks. He was told, so he died, he was 76 years old, he died October 10th. The doctor always said to him, you have a bad heart and you need to watch out what you're eating. He said, I'm going to die one day and there's no way I'm cutting all the good food out of my life. So 76, he had a good life. So they went down to Philly and they bought these cheesesteaks, and then they stopped at a couple of other bars, which are 2 favorites of mine in Philly, too. Brownies in the Khyber Pass, where I used to eat the bacon grease popcorn. I wonder why I died. And then and they had a shot at one of the other bars. And, you know, so they drive back to the funeral home with these cheesesteaks, and there's a viewing that night. And they go to put the cheesesteaks in the coffin, and the funeral home director's like, you can't do that. Somebody's going to steal them. Can you imagine taking the cheesesteaks out of the coffin? So they waited till after the viewing.
Wow. Okay. So they were told that if they put them in for the viewing,
Yeah.
you might not want to do that because someone's going to walk up and take them out and
Funeral home director said I could not put them in the casket before the viewing because people would take them.
a cheese wit.
Geez, wet.
Yeah.
Say 2 of them. So they said there was a photo board displayed of him hunting, fishing, coaching soccer, but the most pictures of him were him eating cheesesteaks. So I got a picture of some Pat's cheesesteaks there, and then there's pictures of him eating them. I guess apparently throughout his life he would eat these cheesesteaks. So that's him. So anyway, after the viewing was over, they ended up putting the bag of 2 cheesesteaks in his hand, and they closed the casket. And off he was buried. And they said they talked to, they called the owner, Frank Olivari Jr., who I believe might be gay, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure because I remember somebody telling me this a long time ago. Not that that matters. But he said he was flattered and bewildered, but proud that somebody would hold his cheesesteaks in such high regard, and hopes he has a good time in the afterlife. He said maybe it's a bribe for St. Peter.
I think that when I'm down to work on your to
go
put
get
a
a
new
cheese whip.
system in your MacBook, I might need to do a cheese whip.
Have I not taken you there?
No,
It's a whole scene. I mean, when
We've
anybody
talked about it, and
Yeah.
you know,
I can't believe I haven't taken you there. Well, you don't like that kind of food.
I'll have it because this guy was buried with it, so I think that it might be a smart thing to try it out. Right? It's not my normal diet, but sure, it sounds like
It's not a
fun.
bad cheesesteak. So that's what called.
And according to you, there's not a bad cheesesteak in the area. So
No.
So mine's pretty simple. I found this when I was out. I was just out in Burbank this past weekend. I went to my graduation from Animation Mentor. And thank you, by the way, to Tim, Bob, and my mom for urging me to do it. It was an incredible experience. But while I was out there, I found this article. And
Now, wait a minute before you show the article. So, did they actually have a ceremony thing,
Yeah,
or
they did.
Okay, and then did you all get called up? How many people attended?
well, the class. Who knows how big the class is? Because it's you could take it any part of the world. But of those who showed up, I'm guessing it was like one of our high school, like maybe 80 or 100.
Oh, wow.
Let's say 80 people, maybe.
People looked as you expected them to, or
Oh yeah, and people recognized me from like I walked in and suddenly, oh hey John, from class and stuff. I'm gonna actually show a picture or 2 from that.
Oh, okay.
So this though caught my eye out in Burbank because this is hilarious. Why Disney employees aren't allowed to point with their index finger. Park employees are banned from ever pointing with just their index finger. It seems like a minute detail, but park employees are mandated to do the double Disney. This thing here with the double Disney. And there's 2 theories as to why.
Double Disney.
The first is that perhaps it's because it could be interpreted as rude in several countries and cultures, and the kind of conspiracy theory one, or the more prevalent one, is that Walt was a huge smoker.
I didn't
In
realize
fact,
that.
At one point in his life, he had his right lung taken out. He smoked so much. So here on the left is this black and white picture of Walt's walking around. He's got this cigarette in his hand, and he would walk around the park and do that. And then on the right of that black and white picture, they photoshopped out the cigarette. But Disney got so critical of this smoking thing that they went, in any press photos of Walt, they would actually remove the cigarette.
So that picture that you're showing. So if you're watching, if you're not watching the video, but there's a picture of him. So did they take the cigarette?
Because online they found the original photo and it
That's
had a
hilarious.
cigarette, and then Disney removed it, Disney company. And it's such a well-known, or such a known fact, that when Tom Hanks played Walt Disney in the movie Saving Mr. Banks, he himself did the famous Disney 2-finger thing. And on the next one, you'll see if you're what do they call them, cast members in the park?
Yeah.
All the cast members do the 2-finger thing as
So
well.
does it have a name? You said
It's
Disney?
called the double Disney point.
The Over here, this way.
And look at her. She's like, double Disney. And that's one of the first things they learn in their when they are being onboarded. Is that the word we use? Onboarded for the thing. So I just thought that was kind of a
set.
funny
a
little
great
thing.
one.
So, as we said earlier, I went out to graduation. I'm so glad I did. It was a lot of fun. Big thanks to the founders. I got to meet the founders of the school, Sean, Bobby, and Carlos. And I also met a lot of the students that I went to school with, and I met some of my teachers. And thanks to two Canadians, the Pratt brother, Bo and Cameron Pratt. They're from Manitoba. They arranged for me to see a bunch of us. I got to tour DreamWorks, and I got to tour Disney Animation Studios, which was pretty amazing.
See John Lasseter's office?
Gorgeous office, yeah. And
It's
now
empty
with all
now.
this stuff going on, right? So so on stage from left to right is Sean, Bobby, and Carlos. And Sean works at Industrial Light and Magic, and Bobby is the CEO of the school. And Carlos, I forget where Carlos is at, but he's also an animator, and he's one of the founders as well. And the cool thing is, they had a ceremony. You got a diploma. You had to walk on stage and shake their hands and thank them. And they were really, and then you could talk to them. And that was one of the coolest things about the weekend was you could just walk up to these guys or other animators that were there for this thing called CTN. Have great conversations. There's all the graduates. I'm over there somewhere on
Where
the
are you,
right.
John?
I'm on the right. Let's see if John
You
can.
standing, or
I am
were you-
standing there.
There you
You
are.
can see
Look
my
at you,
Hollywood
big
smile.
Hollywood
The
smile.
guy to the right of me is Ollie. He's already working at a studio in London called Frame Store, and the guy to my left is Ishtvan.
Your
He's
brother-in-law Steve's not going to be happy.
why? Because I'm wearing a crew neck
Or
T-shirt.
your T-shirt. He doesn't like you in a T-shirt.
Yeah. And I'll just wrap
Oh,
up.
someone's got my lumbersexual shirt on.
That's Dane. Cool.
Oh my gosh! Look
Cool
at
animator. Yeah, that was one of his looks.
he went to the Costco too.
You might have actually come to think of it. So on Sunday before flying home, I got one of my little wishes came true, and one of my favorite mentors was a guy named Greg Whitaker who taught Class 6, and I got to see him give a discussion on how to work in the industry, and it was all the stuff you and I love, how to properly communicate with people, how to keep yourself relevant, how to know your environment, know where you're working, whatever, and some people were talking to him about how, it's so sad that school's over, and he just smiled and he said, school's not the end, it's just the beginning. You're now gonna have this fun ride. And I thought, oh, that was a great way to end the weekend, get on the plane, fly home, and here we are. So thanks to everybody at Animation Mentor and the staff. It was a really, really well done, fun weekend.
I'm glad you went.
And I thank you, Tim, and my mom and Bob for urging me to do it. It wasn't that I didn't really. I was just on the fence about it. And Tim's like, "You got to go. You spent all
You
these
spent all the
hours."
time you have to do it.
So there you go.
So our business birthday today.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So Donald J. Donnie Deutsch
Love this one.
is
Yeah.
60 years old today. He was born November 22nd, 1957, an American advertising executive and television personality. He's the
love this
former
too.
host.
Boca Raton Observer.
He's the former host of CNBC talk show The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch, which ran from 04 to 08. I remember
I do too.
I worked with this guy named Jim Ferguson for Timberland McLean at the time, became TM Marketing, and they did an advertising age. They said, "What's the worst thing that happened in 04?" And he said, "Donnie Deutsch went 5 days a week." So they were obviously rivals. But, so Donnie's father, David Deutsch, had founded David Deutsch Associates, which is now known as Deutsch Inc. Advertising, and it's a large advertising agency. And Donnie went to the Wharton School, just like our President Trump, and graduated from there. Then joined the advertising firm in '83. And what did we do wrong, John? In 1989, his father gave him the agency, gave Donnie the agency. And then Donnie turned around. He renamed it from David Deutsch Agency to Deutsch Inc. and then sold it in 2000 for $265 million to Interpublic.
Hey, look, I like Donnie. I love watching him when he's on Morning Joe. I like that
Yeah.
quote you put up there. You're doing what you love when Sunday nights feel like the same as Friday nights. That's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah, I like that.
So he's also appeared on a number of reality shows, such as The Apprentice. He also has a segment on the Today Show called The Professionals. He tried a bunch of other sort of ventures as well. He's written a couple of books, one of them Often Wrong, Never in Doubt. And
The title is often wrong, never in doubt.
which is just like him. He's very much a showman. He purchased a place right here in New York City for $21 million and had to gut it. Cost him $20 million to gut it, apparently unlivable. And then he purchased a $29 million home in the East Hampton Village in New York. He says he's a Democrat and a feminist. So a couple of little-known facts. There he is in a Speedo. So he would be very mad if he's watching. Sorry, Donnie. So one of his staffers at the agency found these photos of him and scanned them in, and at his birthday several years back had posted them around.
Oh, no.
The guy ended up losing his job.
Really?
Donnie fired him, furious that he had these pictures. And so if you're watching on YouTube, you can see these. They're all over the internet, which much too, they said. So I even Googled it again. And Donnie's tried to have them taken down. People just keep passing.
It's a whack-a-mole. The internet's a whack-a-mole. That thing pops up. It's going to
Probably not overly flattering, do you think?
You know, I'm not going to say he's in bad shape or anything. I just think the tan lines are hysterical.
Yeah, it's
'cause
a
he
little-
clearly favors boxers over
Odd thing.
like sport shorts over Speedo. But
His very first TV appearance, which surprised me, was when he was a contestant on Match Game in 1979. He won the $5,000 jackpot match with Betty White.
I remember when you showed me this picture before we did the show, like early in the week, and I could not. That hair is great. Look at that.
And which was odd to me is I didn't realize there was a number of people that Match Game would run through that ended up becoming famous. I thought it was just really random people, but it sounds like they did also have aspiring actors and different people they would cycle through. So Donnie went on there. So his question was situation blank. What would you have picked?
Situation blank.
I was surprised he won. I thought it was a setup because he matched Betty White.
He matched Betty White. So it's one word? Like, I would say situation
blank.
normal.
Okay. It was situation comedy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not. I mean, that's.
That would not, like, it wasn't my first
Didn't come
go-to.
to my mind
Yeah.
either. But happy birthday, Donnie Deutsch. Hope you're not mad at us. 60 years old today.
We'll get a cease and desist any minute now. Hey, as many of you know, Deep Discount is a partner of ours here on the Focus Group, and thank you to everybody who we send us notes and cards. Not really cards; it's all email these days. You know, it's a funny postcards and letters. A lot of people have been buying some of the stuff we recommend. I hope you're enjoying it. Notably, from last week, Thunderbird's Johnny Quest got taken off the shelf at the Deep Discount warehouse. Thanks to
They
me.
sold both?
Which is all in full color. Yeah, exactly. To get to Deep Discount, we would like you to go to focusgroupradio.com, click on their logo, the shark. Arr, you got to get the shark in there, even though it's a pirate sound. And that clicks you through to Deep Discount. We get credit for that, which we like. We like getting credit. So this week is kind of a site-wide sale, but we're calling it Black Friday, Cyber Week. And there's Cyber Monday, right? There's Cyber Week.
Monday, there's Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
And again, you can go crazy and down the rabbit hole of stuff at Deep Discount. Music, movies, books, apparel, turntables, electronics. And I'm going to kick it off with that turntable idea. And this is something that Tim turned me on to a while ago. So I was kind of going around and I was looking at vinyl LPs because they're now back. You know, we grew up with them and now they went away. Now they're back. And I saw that they reissued Out of the Blue, ELO's Out of the Blue, as a double disc set with gatefold, you know.
With the artwork and the whole deal?
Well, and they put the artwork on the disc. So when John calls that, yeah, you'll see
cool.
Which I think looks really cool. Yeah. I think that the package I think that is part of the cover and that opens up. But you remember that iconic spaceship thing? You open up, it's the big space station. So it's not very expensive, and I thought, you could go ahead and buy the vinyl, and while you're at Deep Discount, they sell about 10 different models of turntable. Some are very inexpensive, and when I talk inexpensive, I'm talking like $35 or $40. It would be a funny gift if you gave someone the turntable, and it's the kind of almost looks like a close and play, and one or two albums, and it'd just be a fun thing to do. The other thing I picked, again on the music line, is a box set, CD box set. I think it's 4 discs. Actually, it might be more than that, come to think of it. But it's called Citizen Steely Dan, and it's their music from 1972 to 1980. Walter Becker passed away this year. in Hawaii. It was kind of sad for me because I did eventually see them in concert. They do a great stage show. The great thing about Citizen Steely Dan is if you start from the beginning, it takes you through every album in sequence of release all the way to the end. So it's kind of a really cool soundtrack to your life if you're a fan, because you'll know where you were when these albums came out. So those are my two picks before we have our pick of the week. What did you pick? I know what you did, and I love what you did, by the way.
So as a child,
Were you a child?
I used to love when I would get at Christmas time or for a birthday a fresh box of crayons or
Did you
some
really?
sort of markers, and I would guard them with my life. No one else was allowed
Right,
to touch them.
all had to have their
No one
caps.
else was allowed to
Okay.
use them. So as I was poking around Deep Discount, I found these two boxes of colored pencils. One of them is neon and one of them is metallic, and they're from Bright Ideas. They're under $10 each. One's 10 and change. The other one is 9 and change. But they're these 10 metallic pencils, and
You
they're great for
fascinate me.
shading. They're great for a lot of people, even adults now, do coloring. But I love the idea of the pencils and having
You
the neon
fascinate
and the
me.
metallic versus just regular primary colors. So
Does Deep
thought
Discount
those were
sell
cool.
pencil sharpeners too?
I didn't look for pencil sharpeners.
You,
but
you
I-
want if you're gifting pencils,
you should
gift
do a
the
pencil sharpener.
too,
You're probably
yeah.
you're right. But so I just love the idea. As I said, as a kid, I used to love getting the box of crayons, or if there was some special sort of writing implement I could get. And then the second thing I picked, or I guess third or second thing, is Paul Hagen turned us on to the Papini sisters.
Yeah, this is a
And
good
they're
Christmas
somewhat
album.
it's one of the titles here that I laughed at said, "Celebrate Christmas in style and glamour with your favorite sisters. Revel in the glamour, rejoice in the swing, and lose yourself in the harmonies." So the Pupini sisters are from the UK. I did not know this. They're a trio that was inspired by the film Triplets of Belleville.
The Triplets of Belleville. Yeah, that was an
about the
animated
Tour
film.
de France, the
Yeah,
animated film.
Cyclist. Yeah,
So the music in there was great, and they ended up doing
they
this
were
kind of
the okay.
40s style, think Andrew Sisters, but a modern day.
Now that you said it, when you said a modern style Andrew Sisters, I remember the movie and I remember the soundtrack, and it was the
Soundtrack's
Pupini
great.
Sisters.
Pupini Sisters
Wow,
were
okay.
inspired by that, they said. And it's a unique blend of retro pop, kitsch, crisp vocals. Kelly Osbourne, Vivienne Westwood, Kate Moss, Stella McCartney, the royal family, Charles and Camilla, and Prince William are all fans. But they have a Christmas album out, and it's all Christmas songs. And my favorite is Step Into Christmas, which hits it right off. And so I jokingly said, trim the tree with Ella, and then have a high ball.
With the Pupini
Have a high ball with the
Sisters.
Pupini sisters. So, I recommend the Pupini sisters. It's a special order at Deep Discount. I actually called there and talked to somebody and said, "What does a special order mean?" He said, I said, "It's not a back order." He said, "No, a special order just means it's going to take a little longer to get because we're going to source it, but it's available."
Excellent. Okay. Oh, I'm glad you did that.
What's that? Hello.
I know.
And then what's the new release?
New release this week is a movie starring Ryan Reynolds, who I like actually a great deal, and Samuel L. Jackson. It's called The Hitman's Bodyguard. And it's a movie about a hitman, I guess it's Ryan Reynolds, who has to kind of redeem his reputation by escorting some arch nemesis assassin who is Samuel L. Jackson to The Hague to testify about some war crimes in Eastern Europe. I remember when it came out, I thought it was interesting that they cast Ryan Reynolds in the role because I think of him more as comedic, or Deadpool, actually. I think he's Deadpool as well.
Cool.
I would also suggest that came out yesterday, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Worlds. It was Luc Besson's movie. It kind of bombed here in the U.S.
What is it?
It's just remember Valerian, but the same director did Fifth Element. And it's a visually stunning film. Now, I would like to see that. I'm hoping that the movie on Blu-ray does a little bit better than it did in theaters, but it wasn't a very big. So it's the Hitman's Bodyguard. If you feel like rolling the dice on a film that's going to dazzle you visually, I would say look for Valerian and the City of a Thousand.
What were your
Worlds.
3 picks again?
Okay, reviewing. I did ELO's Out of the Blue on LP. You might want to pick up a turntable for that as well. Citizen Steely Dan. It's a box set of all their music, their whole discography. You got?
I did the Bright Ideas neon and metallic pencils and the Pupini sisters Step Into Christmas album. It's Christmas with the Pupini sisters. So what do we say, Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
There we go. So, hey, we want to thank everybody for staying with us for this little segment. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk with Nicole Johnson from Butterball Turkey. She's the co-director of the Turkey Talk Line. So stay with us to talk turkey. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is the only place you need to go to find out all about us, including our partner, Deep Discount. Click on the logo, go through, and start shopping. Hey, as Tim teased at the end of our last segment and the very brief break we had in between, we're going to be welcoming here Nicole Johnson, Butterball Turkey Talk Line co-director. I can't think of a maybe perhaps more fun job than this. Possibly. I mean, you're giving people great tips. They're calling in. Of course, they might be panicked and they might be harried. So, Nicole, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
It's a pleasure, Nicole. I know you're very busy as everybody's gearing up to do what we all do, right? Cook the turkeys.
Talking turkey, that's right.
Talking turkey. Now, you have been on ABC with Diane Sawyer. You've been on Fox. You've been on NBC. No matter what network you're on, though, nothing changes, right? Because your job is walking people through the nightmare of preparing these dinners, right?
You know, it really is. So I've been on the talk line for 16, almost 17 years.
Wow.
And my favorite phone call, I was in my young 20s. I was just out of grad school, newlywed by about a month. I get a phone call. Thanks for calling, Butterball Turkey Talk Line. How can I help you? And the lady was whispering. I mean, really whispering. So I'm turning my volume up. Come to find out, she was a newlywed herself, preparing her first Thanksgiving meal, and she was panicked. She had her in-laws in the dining room. You know, she didn't know how to tell if her thermometer was registering correctly, and she was hiding in the coat closet, hence the reason why she was whispering. She didn't want her in-laws to hear. So we get all good phone calls like that, all sorts. You know, you can call us at 1-800-BUTTERBALL. You can email us. Of course, we're on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Something really cool that we introduced last year for a 7-day period, and we brought it back all of November and December this year. You can text us. And I mean just that. You can text us your turkey question, 844-877-3456. We're going to text you back.
So, hey, Nicole, this is Tim. Thanks for joining us on the Focus Group. When did the line start, and how did it come about, the turkey line?
Yeah, it started 37 years ago. And when it first started out, there were 7 women home economists who housed all their information via an old school Rolodex. So 37 years later, we now have 50 women and men manning the phones. Of course, there's other ways to reach us. You know, you can do the text. You can check out our how-to tutorials and videos, you know, on the butterball.com webpage. But our consumers are, you know, always happy we're here. We're open all of November and December, and Christmas Eve is the last day we're open.
So it is Christmas Eve. I was wondering if you kept manning the lines throughout the whole year. And I don't know if this is a fair question, but as a business question, is there a challenge for you guys at Butterball to make sure that people eat turkeys more than just in November and December?
You know, it can be at times. I know I have 4 little Butterballs at home myself, and that's what's really neat about turkey. You can incorporate into so many different kind of side dishes. We have tons of recipes on Butterball.com, Butterball Cookbook Plus app. Right now, turkey tacos are a big hit in my household. I feel like we have some picky eaters, and it's definitely a crowd pleaser in my house. So lots of fun recipes out there.
So, Nicole, in many ways, you guys are sort of a frontline ambassador for the brand in the sense that you're doing something that goes way beyond customer service, in my opinion. There's one thing about buying a product and maybe having a problem with it. This is buying a product and then deciding that you don't really know how to cook it properly or how to consume it. Do you guys compare notes at all at the end of the day or the end of the week? And are there some crazy stuff that comes through that not harmless stuff, but still crazy and kind of like head scratching? Like, wow, don't you know how to do that?
You know, a lot of times people will say you work the talk line for, you know, so many years. You give up your Thanksgiving, and we do. We all work an 8-hour shift. The average tenure here of our 50-plus staff is 16 years. And when I say it's seasonal, it is for majority of us. We're only open November and December. Outside of us, though, these are well-educated professional folks, and they range from registered dietitians working in a hospital-type setting, clinical setting. We have home ec teachers. We have Stan, who's one of our male turkey talk line experts. He's a retired food scientist, and it was well educated, not to say. He gets a phone call the other day, and he's on speakerphone with a high school economics class, and there were 30 students started drilling him with all these turkey questions. I mean, like rapid fire, boom, boom, boom. He's able to answer all these questions, and they gave him an applause afterward. They were applauding him. I mean, how cute is that? I mean, those are some fun questions. So yeah, we definitely get a lot of cute and memorable calls over the years. I love it when somebody will call me in the grocery store. And maybe it's a well-seasoned cook. Maybe it's somebody taking on Thanksgiving for the first time, and you can hear the panic in their voice. They're not knowing what kind of turkey to buy, what size turkey to buy, a meat thermometer, what kind of pan do I get. One lady's like, "Do you mind just walking down the aisles with me?" So I kind of did her grocery shopping with her, in California, and I'm in Illinois. So, yeah, those are good calls. They range from 2 minutes to 20 minutes and upwards.
So are you guys based in Illinois? Is that where the talk line?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
we're
wondering.
in Naperville, Illinois, which is about 45 minutes just out of Chicago.
Yeah, I used to live in Schaumburg, so I recognize your accent.
Yes. Yep, we're close to Schaumburg.
All right, so if I said to you, I'm having 5 people for dinner, how big is the bird?
Yep, we recommend 1.5 pounds of turkey per guest. 1.5 pounds really allowing for generous leftovers.
Oh, see now the all-important leftover plate for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Everybody wants leftovers, right?
Right.
And here's another factoid. People often worry about basting the bird, but Butterball turkeys come pre-basted?
They do. Yeah, that's one of their advantages. They're already pre-basted throughout the breast area for enhanced tenderness and juiciness. So additional basting, it's really not necessary. We just want you to put the turkey in the oven, 325 setting from start to finish, and don't spend your time opening up that oven door and worry about basting. Go ahead and spend it on other side dishes. Even pour yourself a glass of wine and, spend your time with your family and friends. It's interesting. We actually conducted this first ever consumer survey, and we found that 4 out of 5 folks agree. They don't feel like Thanksgiving has to be this Pinterest perfect day, right? And I get it. I have 4 kids at home. Life's always not going to work out exactly how we want it to. But what they do want is family and friends around the table. Okay, I agree with that. And they want a perfect turkey. And that's when we definitely come into play. We just encourage folks, call us at 1-800-BUTTERBALL, send us a text. We're here to help.
So one of the challenges that I've had when I've made turkey is it's dry. And so somebody told me to brine it. Do you recommend brining it, or why do you think my turkeys are dry? Am I cooking them too long?
Yes, that's exactly what it is, just overcooking. Let me ask, you know what size turkey you're going to have this year?
Probably 13 to 15 pounds.
Okay, and do you like to stuff your turkey, or do you?
Yes. No, it would be stuffed. Yeah.
Yeah, you and me both. Okay, so a 13-pound stuffed turkey is only going to take 3 hours and 45 minutes to 4 hours to cook.
Oh, so yeah,
it's cooked too much. I think the notion of cooking it, 6-7 hours, is definitely wrong. We do give you a range in which to cook, and we like to tell folks, use your meat thermometer. He's going to be your best friend on Thanksgiving Day. It's going to register 180 in the deep thigh and 170 in the breast when your turkey's done.
Wow.
Do you think people just don't trust that? I have friends who cook any meat. It doesn't matter if it's turkey, chicken, whatever. They cook it till it is literally an inch of its life. And I think it's because they're paranoid about something. Like, I got to cook something out of the meat. Like, there's something bad about it. I mean, but do you get a lot of that, too? Like, are you sure about that time?
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do. And, that could definitely be a concern if your turkey's not fully thawed, because our recommended time is based on a fully thawed turkey. It's our number one question we get here at the talk line is, how do I thaw my turkey? Well, it's a decent number of days. A 20-pound turkey will take 5 full days to thaw in your refrigerator. So for people calling us today or even tomorrow morning, they don't realize how long it takes, or they have forgotten to start the thaw process, they can opt for a cold water bath method. It's a much faster method, a half hour per pound. So your 12-pound turkey would take 6 hours using that method.
My, so
I'm just thinking about that.
no wonder why a friend of mine went on Thanksgiving Day to go buy a turkey, a frozen turkey. He said everybody looked at him like an idiot. I could see why now, right? He's never going to get it
He
thawed.
might be better off with a fresh turkey at that point because they don't require thawing. So
Yeah.
if you haven't purchased it yet, you may want to go with the fresh.
Hey, what happens with, have you guys seen, I know deep frying has become very popular with turkeys now.
Yes, it
Do you-
is.
do
We
you
get a lot of calls on that.
I was going to say, do you get calls on that? And I've always wanted to do it, but my fear has been, you always hear the horror stories about the oil catching on
Oh,
fire.
yeah.
So how do you talk people through the deep fry process?
Yeah, we're definitely advocates of it. It's the Masterbuilt folks who put those out. We're partnered with them. We've tested them hundreds of times in the test kitchen. And there's outdoor fryers and there are indoor fryers.
Well, I didn't
We
know
really
there was
like the indoor fryers. We use those here in the test kitchen. And just from a food safety standpoint, number one thing, just make sure your turkey's fully thawed. That's really where you can have a little bit of safety concern. But it's an awesome method. It's delicious. It's super fast, 3.5 to 4 minutes per pound.
Wow.
And your turkey's done. So it's delicious. It's fast.
Whoa.
thumbs up.
3.5 to 4 minutes a pound?
Per pound. That's right.
So you put that thing in, now, of course,
So a 13-pound is less than, a half hour, right? If I'm doing my math right.
I'm afraid to answer because I did so terrible on the SATs for math that I'm not even going to be embarrassing myself.
Under an hour.
There you go.
There we go.
Our teachers would appreciate that.
What was the name of that? What was the name of the deep fryer
Master something.
Yeah, we're partnered with Masterbuilt.
Masterbuilt.
And they're all over the place. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is an amazing way to do that. We're talking to Nicole Johnson, Butterball Turkey Talk Line co-director. Nicole, when you were before this job, would you ever have suspected you'd end up being the Talk Line co-director at Butterball, talking turkey?
So I started the Talk Line, like I was telling you guys, in my early 20s, and I have to tell you the funniest story. So I was married in November 17th of 2001. That's the same year I started the Talk Line. And when I interviewed for the position, obviously we're very busy the weekend before Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving. The director at the time said, you're hired. We'd love for you to join our team. It's going to be a great fit. But you mentioned you're getting married. When is the wedding date? And I told her, and she kind of frowned. And I said, why the frown? Well, she said that's our busiest time. And typically we do require for people to work that weekend and that whole week. I thought, oh, no. She said, you know what? Go home, talk to your fiance about it, see what you can do. So I went home and talked to my husband still. And we still had our wedding date that weekend, but I postponed our honeymoon just to get my foot in the door. You know what, though? We had the honeymoon 3 months later. About 16 years, we're still married, 4 little Butterballs. So I'm still with Butterball, and I'm still with my husband. So all turned out well.
I could imagine as a thank you, if the folks at Butterball knew where the honeymoon was going to be, they'd go open the door to the honeymoon suite, and there's like a pile of turkeys. Like, thanks for talking us through the Thanksgiving thing.
Now, Nicole, what kind
I love it.
what kind of pressure are you under to make sure that when people come to your house for turkey, that it's just spot on? I mean, how do you prepare your turkey?
Well, I tell you, I work an 8-hour shift on Thanksgiving Day, if not more. So my husband's on turkey duty, and our turkey's already thawed. And I think he's going to try the outdoor grill this year. There's so many different ways that we counsel and that we're trained on, here at the Talk Line. A lot of times we'll get a phone call and someone's oven's not calibrated correctly, and they don't realize it's not working until Thanksgiving morning, and they're panicked. So we tell them, do you have an outdoor grill? I do, they say. Well, guess what? We're going to throw that turkey on the grill. You're kidding me. Yeah, let's do it.
But
So
you're
they're always really
specific.
relieved.
You're talking a gas grill, though, right?
We can do gas. We could do charcoal.
No way. You seriously talk someone through a charcoal grilling of a turkey?
We can, and if you grill, you know that it can be a little bit more tedious in the instructions.
Wow.
So we just go ahead and talk them through it. But yeah, we can do it.
So if you had to choose between, let's say someone's doing an alternate prep for this Thanksgiving or next year, because it's tomorrow. If you're going to do an alternate prep, you better have had this figured out. Would you actually give them, if someone said, hey, I could do one or the other, I could do a deep fried or I could do a grilled, would you recommend one over the other to somebody?
I don't know. The deep fry is pretty delicious. I think it depends, just personal preference. My dad has always done the oven cooking bag, which is more of a moisty cook method, but he loves it because, as he'll tell you, all the mess is right in the bag. You don't have to do as many dishes. And He loves it.
I like
He
your
feels
dad.
like- yeah, he's loving that method. So, there's just a lot of different ways. A lot of times people don't have a big Thanksgiving guest list. They may just have 2 or 3 people, and we recommend a boneless or a bone-in breast, and that can actually be done on a electric countertop roaster or even a crock pot. A lot of the working moms, want to have a crock pot meal ready when their kiddos get home, and definitely the crock pot's the way to go with the bone-in or boneless breast. So lots of good methods out there.
So two other questions. If you deep fry, then you can't have stuffing in the bird, right? If you deep
Correct.
fry.
That's correct.
And then do people?
Just,
I'm sorry.
yeah, if you do want to do stuffing when you deep fry it, we just tell folks go ahead and put it in a casserole dish and make it in the oven.
Okay.
And then what about wine pairing with the turkey? Does anybody ask what kind of wine should we have?
I bet they ask
You know
about
what?
side dishes too. I mean,
Yeah, we get a lot of questions on the side dishes. And the wine pairings, again, it's kind of a personal preference. But what I really love, though, is if I ever get a question that I'm a little stumped on, and it does happen, I'll put my consumer on hold, and I'll go ahead and look at my teammate next to me. And if I don't know the answer, the person next to me is going to know it. I mean, majority of our questions are on turkeys, but sometimes we get some really different questions that would be, it's never a dull moment. We'll just say that.
Well, you're probably a little like us when John and I had hosted a radio show years ago, late night, and we would get lots of people that would call that maybe didn't know what the topic was.
and since we weren't video, then you would never see the faces, our shocked faces, like I'm being asked this. So Nicole, I get a distinct impression from the joy you seem to have talking about this, that this is still something you find novel and fun and you're engaged in as a career and as a job.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I do. Yes, could not be happier. I actually job share with one of my best friends. She's the other co-director, and she has 3 little Butterballs. So it's just ideal. Yes, it is. You're spot on.
Well, we know that you are very busy. So is today your busiest day, or is it actually Thanksgiving Day?
Tomorrow will be our busiest day. Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, the excitement, the volume of us all talking turkey here tomorrow is amazing. It's high energy. We always provide our staff meal.
Turkey.
Today we had pulled. Yeah, well, you better believe it. We had pulled turkey sandwiches today and chips and salad, and it was delicious. I just got done with lunch. So.
And someone said that you get over 200,000 calls now a year between the 2-month time frame. Is that correct? I was reading that somewhere.
Yes, that's accurate.
Wow.
We do.
So
there's more than just a little bit of a wait to talk to us. There's about 10, 15 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
But what's nice is you can opt to listen to pre-recorded messages. It's just some tips and tricks that we have for folks.
So before we go, why don't you let the listeners know where the different ways that they could contact the Turkey Talk line?
Yeah, for sure. So to reach us via phone, it's 1-800-BUTTERBALL, 1-800-288-8372. Of course, you can email us. You can visit us at the Butterball.com website where we have good recipes and how-to videos. You can strike up a chat, social media. Of course, we're on Facebook and Twitter. Or if you want to text us, that's my favorite, 844-877-3456.
Wow. Well, Nicole Johnson, thanks for joining us. She's co-director of the Butterball Turkey Talk line, and we appreciate you taking out the time to talk to us today. As we noted, it's a busy time of year, and it's your high time. It's
high time.
So it's like your Super Bowl.
I've got a new. I think I want to deep fry.
We're going to deep fry.
I'm really into this idea now.
So thanks.
If you do it, you should send us a picture via text. I'd love to see it.
Okay.
We may be calling you now that we have your number because.
And you ask for me. They'll come over and get me for sure.
We will.
Happy Thanksgiving, Tim and John.
Thank you, Nicole.
Take care.
Okay, bye guys.
Hey, it's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. It was delightful.
A total delight, and I am serious about this deep frying. What was it? It was 10 minutes per pound or something? It was
3 minutes per pound.
It was a very nominal thing.
We took a lot of our time. They only had like 8 minutes, so we appreciate all the time we took with her.
I didn't realize we did that.
So if you called the Butterball line and you're waiting to talk to her, well,
blame us.
We took
blame
the time.
us. Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's a shop talk time, and we're going to help you on how to avoid some perhaps difficult conversations at the holiday dinner table. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Now back to the Focus Group with Tim and John.
Because he has a lot of chutzpah.
An entertaining look at the world of business.
Heads are spinning, heads are spinning.
Listen, laugh, and learn.
I am not gay. I never have been gay.
That's perverse.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. A big thank you again to Nicole Johnson, Butterball Turkey Talk Line co-director. We were just talking at break about how we are... I said, I want to do this. And Tim said, oh, yeah. Except people burn their houses down.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked. People, because you have to know when
So
you
it's the volume. So there's a special cooker.
Right.
It must be a big round.
So you put peanut oil or you put the oil in, right? And so what
They'll fill it up.
Dingbats would do is fill it up with oil and heat it. And then when you put the turkey in, it's going to displace the oil and it's going to come out and then... And so you always see it every year. Watch the news this year. You're going to see 3 or 4 houses burned down.
So what kind of... I want...
You guys, the boys in the booth are all nodding.
I used to go to Jet games, and one day tailgating, we just saw this huge black plume, and it was just a big turkey pot, and it's filled with 3 quarts of oil. There's nothing, probably even more. There's nothing you could do once it catches fire. You just have to let it burn out.
Melts the car. No, but you see these houses. It's always on the news. You'll see these houses that burn down because somebody's overfilled it with oil. And they drop the turkey in all half in the bag.
I never even thought of Garrett's example of the tailgating thing. Outdoors, you'd think, okay, wow.
But I've always wanted to deep fry a turkey. My dad wants to do it too, and I should try it. I should get one of these master built.
I guess they come out moist.
Fryers. Oh, it's great.
The only problem is then you have 50 gallons of oil that was sort of used.
Yeah.
That you throw out or you have to save again or pour back. That's the only problem. It's a lot of oil.
Cooking oil
If you have a diesel car, you could use it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Some of the...
Yeah, what would you do with that oil? I guess you have to put it...
You could save it and reuse it, but...
It's only had a turkey in it. It's not,
But,
But that's the whole, like, we used to have something called a Fry Daddy when we were kids. And a Fry Daddy was made by, yes.
It's a little thing, a little bigger than this.
And it had a plastic lid, so when it all cooled down, you put the lid on, you put it away, and that thing was grody. When you open up the lid, it was just like this white congealed mass of
heat it
crap,
up.
and there was pieces of onion or French fries. Oh, let's have Fry Daddy fries. And even as a kid, I was like, this is not really sanitary. I didn't say that to my parents. I probably should have.
Well, another piece to the John puzzle.
Proverbial puzzle. I doubt they would have cared. They're like, whatever, you're going to eat
when
it.
you heat it up, you cook anything, you kill anything that's bad, right?
Yeah,
it's just the
oil.
dust.
Yeah. But there was a whole bunch of... We had that machine that would dice the vegetables.
Who was buying all that stuff? Was that your mother or your father?
My dad loved that stuff.
The Ron Popeil.
Waffle iron, the Fry Daddy, the...
George Foreman grill.
We didn't do the Foreman grill, but we did have a crock pot when they were the first release. Fondue.
Oh, we love fondue.
My parents used to have fondue
My parents
parties.
had it too. Yeah, they would cut the bread up and throw a thing of brie in there, and then stick
they would
it in
play
the-
poker and drink beer. Boy, that was a rough time back then, huh? With the plastic chips.
Fondue was either that avocado color or
Yes.
the orange color or something.
It was one or the
long
other.
Sticks.
And it had the sterno under it, and then you had to like nudge the sterno lid closed.
Mom
when you
used
were
hers
done.
once, as I remember, and then my father's never happened again.
I had fondue once. I forget where we were, and it was pieces of fruit, and it was in dark chocolate.
yeah.
Now that was fun. That was fun. That was tasty.
I don't know if that's fondue. Fruit and chocolate.
Yeah, well, it's a good use for it. And marshmallow. You put a marshmallow in, come on.
Sounds good.
All right, moving along to holiday dinner time, and this could be Thanksgiving, could be New Year's, could be Christmas, could be whatever holiday dinner.
Be anytime.
Anytime USA. This one actually. Tim found a great piece called How to Dodge Political Conversations with Your Family During the Holidays. Some tips on how to navigate politically charged conversations. I am going to give you one tip right now. Avoid them. Just avoid them. Because you know what? You're going to... But as the wine flows and as the cocktails go, opinions need to be fielded. People need to be heard. So inevitably, it does pop up, right?
Well, they talked to 3. So this article is done by somebody named Jennifer Kalfas, and it was in Time Magazine. And
she's like an etiquette expert.
Yeah, they talked to 3 etiquette experts and said, particularly they said, we're so politically charged now. Mm-hmm. And they said, and when you have these holiday get-togethers, there's obviously a difference in generation. There's a difference in education levels. There's a different point of view, different opinions. And inevitably, because it's so in our face every day, you're going to talk about politics probably.
You know what else you're going to talk about this Thanksgiving?
What else? Abuse?
Harassment.
Or harassment or whatever.
I almost think that that's more of a hot button, potentially, like really bad hot button than politics at this point.
You think?
Well, even we had lunch today, we were talking about this, and if you voice... Okay, so here's
15 years ago, it was okay to slap money.
Here's an example. Morrissey wrote a piece in the British newspaper defending, well, not necessarily defending, but Kevin Spacey and Weinstein.
Yeah.
And Morrissey basically leaded off the Kevin Spacey paragraph by saying, where was the young man's parents? Why was a 14-year-old at a party? Didn't he know that was going to happen in a bedroom? Was there alcohol there? And he circled back and he goes, why was he at a 14-year-old at a party like that? I brought that up in casual conversation with two guys yesterday when we were having a drink. They both forked off into completely different, and one was outraged, one was like, oh, whatever, and that's even worse than talking about who's got elected, who didn't, I think.
Well, it's the Charlie Rose thing, and you and I had talked about this as well. So Charlie Rose on Monday was on the top of the world.
PBS,
60
Bloomberg,
Minutes.
60 Minutes,
right,
CBS
and his own
this morning.
show, and as of Wednesday, he's got nothing. But what I don't understand about him or Spacey or Weinstein, and I guess it's a power thing that I don't get or I don't understand, but I would think that you would be fearful of being of somebody extorting you, or that you would get called out on. When you are somebody as famous as Kevin Spacey, and I'd heard this weekend people said, "Oh yeah, it was well known. Him in the gyms here in New York, he'd be playing with himself in the shower." Now, and I said, well, why would you want that as him, who is a Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning, well-known celebrity? Why would you put yourself in that position?
Yeah, Tim brought this up at lunch today at our new Petit Pouillet. Right. We're giving TikTok a break.
What John and I are excited about is that with so many people going off the air, there's a chance. we're probably either going to be on one of the cable networks. Don't you think? There's nothing left.
Hey, you and I would get along great with Norah O'Donnell and Gail.
Yeah, we could be on MSNBC and do an hour on a Sunday.
But the point that you just made, not to lose that point, was I agree with you. When you said it, I thought this is why I loved him so much. I mean, when you are somewhat of notoriety, or you're in the public eye, or you're wealthy, whatever, I would think you'd be extra cautious about your private life because someone could use it against you. Yeah. So if this stuff's been going on in the open and assistants knew about it, it was just, did you get the Charlie Rose thing? Did you get the towel game?
Right. And his assistant, who was a female, knew about it, so shame on her for not either protecting these women or calling them out.
The shower game,
yeah,
right?
Said she's kind of sorry, feels sorry now, maybe she didn't do something sooner. I remember in a very small, I don't know what the right word would be, but I had traveled around with Martina Navratilova a bit, who's well known. You can't go anywhere without somebody recognizing her. And when her agent and the people that managed her, handled her, Pam in particular, when we would ever go out to eat, Pam always made sure that we over-tipped or that we treated everybody well, because she said, all you need to do is not tip. And I always remember that. She said, treat people well.
With respect.
Make sure you pay your tab. Don't say, oh, yeah, I'll take a free meal. You pay for your meal and you over tip and thank for the service, because they never wanted anything to come back to tarnish her career or to tarnish her image. And that's why when you hear these things about Charlie Rose, or even John Lasseter now, and
the John Lasseter thing was a complete surprise to me. Yeah. Having just seen the guy's office, by the way, going back to what I said earlier about graduation, at the Disney studio tour, his office is 3 walls of glass filled with toys and models and all the movie.
His own bathroom, probably.
And now you wonder if the executive washroom has a special secret door. So, I mean...
Well, I'm wondering when one of the captains of industry is going to get called out. There's got to be a Fortune 10 or Fortune 50. Of course, you and I know some. We're not going to say names, but you and I know people that had gotten in trouble for.
So is the fallout from a major CEO? I think that's a very different game there, and I shouldn't use the word game. It's not a game. I think it's a very different thing, because part of this whole thing that strikes me as the moment we're in is the salaciousness and the speed with which the rumor or the accusation moves. And the swifter speed with which a network will just distance themselves from someone who, I get it, but at the same time, I mean, would it have been a horrible thing to wait a day to kind of really review this and see where you're at? But I guess not, right?
That's the And that's why I half jokingly said that
Yeah.
there's a chance we can get on TV because you and I haven't done anything that I know of. But I'm sure somebody can say, I've told an off-color joke 15 years ago. I'm sure I did. I can't tell you what it was. I can't tell you who I told it to. Did I say something that might be perceived today different than it was 15 or 20 years ago? I'm sure we all have. And I'm not condoning behavior.
No. But Tim, you bring up a great point. That's where I would say you are completely in the clear. Having an off-color remark, or maybe you misgauge the crowd you're with, and you say a joke, and everybody laughs except the one person who might have been offended. You didn't violate their space. You didn't violate them. You might have violated their sensibilities, but that is not, in my opinion, harassment.
No, it's not the same as walking out with my dick hanging out and saying, "Come here, little girl."
Yeah, or hey, here's a new one that Tim just told me today that I hadn't heard. Roy Moore goes to little children's dance recitals when
And Stephanie Rule says, we have 2 little girls, and my husband doesnent want to go to dance recitals. What's Roy Moore doing at little teenage girl dance recitals?
Clapping in the back like, yay, go Cindy, plie, plie. I mean, and meanwhile, the governor of Alabama, hey, we're not a political show, but
we're told we're not supposed to broad brush Alabama, but guess what?
This is far beyond politics, but if the governor says, I'm going to vote for a pedophile over a Democrat, you got to think the world is upside down, right? I mean, because here, the Democrat in that race, by the way, was a well-known prosecutor, big civil rights guy, has defended a lot of people, a man of integrity, and yet, because he's a Democrat,
Yeah, and we have fans in Alabama. Don from Alabama calls
Hey,
it
yeah,
often.
yeah.
So we understand that there are some smart people
sure,
in Alabama,
sure,
but
yeah.
I remember Ross Perot used to talk about Alabama, Arkansas, and Mississippi when he was debating Bill Clinton. And his only retort was, he said 48th, 49th, 50th, and everything. Those 3 states.
I got a chart for that. He probably had a chart for that, right?
And but yeah, when you hear the governor of a state say something so foolish.
Yeah, but you just nailed an issue with a lot of states. You could have Huntsville, which is Rocket Town, right? Like super smart people there, mathematicians, engineers, the whole bit. And who knows how they're going to vote? I would never even. But they probably are as appalled as we are by this. But then you have other people who are so tribal, as Joe Scarborough likes to say.
And our president.
Yeah, well,
who essentially has endorsed him.
Because he wants a vote. So this is where we're at. So this little tiny
we got off on shop talk.
But this little piece about avoiding these conversations at the dinner table still applies. And rule number 1, there's no way to simply avoid the conversation. You can't avoid it.
Right.
If you have family members who can enjoy respectful, thoughtful political discourse, right off the bat, I'm like, okay, where's that at, right? And still be smiling at the end of it, and everybody learns something, then that's fine. But I've not been to such discussions.
No one. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Number 2, I laughed at, and I wrote a couple of side notes.
The teaching finger up for that one.
So number 2 says, if you're a host, have a plan of action ready before the guests arrive.
This one I did laugh at.
So they said hosts have the burden of ensuring an event runs smoothly, and they should just plan ahead for the food and the decor. So I was like, hey, welcome to the house. May I hang up your coat? And oh, by the way, here's the fight room. Close the door. I mean,
Fight Club.
Essentially, they said that the host or hostess should make sure that they have a designated area for such sort of conversations. I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
You felt like,
hey, how are you? There's the fight room.
There should
by the
be
way.
a
Make sure you close the
Nerf
door.
gun with the little foam things, oversized boxing gloves, right? And there's the fight room.
It reminded me of one of those 1950s. Here's how.
Hey, I think that
here's how to make a
did you
dress.
sneak into the deck a picture of From Home for the Holidays?
Yes.
Because I thought I saw a very young Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, that's when the turkey fell. So if you're watching the turkey, you probably
There
can't
it
see
is. There it is.
So the turkey fell in her lap. The turkey's in the sister's lap, and he's laughing.
And the sister is.
Of course, you're going to quiz me. I forgot her name.
Why am I not?
We're all well-known people.
Oh, I see her. I don't know where she is. Okay, so rule number 3: if you're a guest, make it known when you're uncomfortable. Now, my idea for this was that every table should have like a little paddle, like you're going to an auction. And if the red paddle comes up, you're uncomfortable. If you're happy, it's maybe a different color. But I mean, how do you say you have to maneuver the hostess or the host
Hostess
into
know in advance, and they could change the topic.
Yeah.
Number 4, I put your name right next to it.
Did you really now?
It said, "Don't be an instigator."
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah.
Yeah, and it said, and I put John with a big exclamation point. It says, "If you're hoping to avoid a heated debate at the dinner table, don't provoke it yourself." And then I put dash. You can even look. I put dash John. Then it goes on further and says, "If you're worried you can't hold your peace, you need to enlist an accountability partner." And I wrote down Bob or Carol, John's mom, as the accountability partner. Now, am I right or am I wrong?
You're kind of right. Yeah, Bob.
Because you'll start.
Oh yeah. I'll take a stick and poke that bee's hive.
And who's your accountability partner? Because
Bob would be.
Bob, but if Bob has a couple cocktails, maybe not.
Yeah, sometimes if Bob's had the gin, if he's drinking the juniper berry, he's
You can fuel it too.
He'll take a big can of gasoline and. And we'll all laugh about it later, right?
So what was the last one?
This one I was a little unsure of.
I wasn't.
No, I didn't think you would be. It's called Let Crazy Be Crazy.
And you see who I used there, if you look at it.
Is that from the Real
That was
Housewives?
from the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
And that's a great picture for it because the woman who wrote this suggests guests uncomfortable with the situation can shorten their visit or move to a different room or conversation. They can also remove themselves entirely and find a fun game to play with the kids. I've avoided a lot of this trouble by, if I'm around kids, it's just a natural thing with me. I love being around kids. I love board games or let's play Lego or something. I'm like perfect companion for kids because we just and then you could avoid all the adult stuff because you could go and watch a movie. You could do.
You just sit up and move.
Well, Bob, one time we did a vacation on the Cape with Bob's family, and there was a point when Bob and his sisters are all talking in the kitchen, and they're all talking, and they're all laughing and talking, and then all the rest of the family's talking. His niece Catherine's sitting next to me on the couch, and she's just staring at the TV, which is playing Finding Nemo. And I said, "Hey, Catherine, do you want to go do something?" And then the minute I suggested something, we were both popped up. We walked out. We did something, and no one even noticed because they're all happy to get together and be with each other. But that's what I mean. You could easily absent yourself by. Kids are great for that, right?
Which is probably the best thing to do.
Oh, I would, to avoid a political conversation, I would definitely do that. And I think that the one we talked about earlier that we're returning to, because I'm going to provoke it, is the harass. That's a difficult one. I'm amazed at the spectrum of feedback I've gotten from people. Super amazed, actually. Of course, then I've also heard it depends on who you are, but like one of my friends last night was like, harass away.
That's what Sandra Bernhard said.
Harass away, please. No one, I don't mind being touched.
You know when it's, and that's the thing too. You know when it's appropriate.
I just remembered something that I wanted to share. Okay, so an executive that we've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years, he helped us start our relationship with Volkswagen, was Eric Wilson.
Right.
Now, Eric is someone who I love because I think he's super smart. He's great. He got us immediately. He knew who we were from our history. He had studied us in college. It sounds like Star Trek. I studied your missions in college, Captain Kirk. When we were at the very first, they once had us down for a partner meeting.
Right.
And
did you harass him?
No. But after the 2-day event, we were seeing roadmaps, they call them in the business, for model introductions, technology the brand was working on, plans for new drivetrains, new engines, all that stuff that would help you kind of formulate an idea of how you wanted to talk about the vehicles in the coming year. We're getting ready to go. And Eric puts his hand out, and I take his hand, but I go and give him a hug. And right before I give him a hug, he goes, "Oh, you're a hugger." and immediately he gives me a big hug back, and I shake his hand. He goes, "Oh, and you're a shaker too." So I laughed about it with him later because it was as if he knew he had to do another language. So it would be like someone, "Oh, you speak French." So, "Oh, you're a hugger." So he was not a hugger himself. He said, I'm not a big fan of hugging, but he knows that people sometimes like to connect that way. I only bring that up as an example of someone who is smart enough to recognize that the behavior was not meant to hurt, insult, or offend. That's just how some people connect. "I'm going to give you a hug." "Oh, you're a hugger." You're looking at me like I'm crazy, right?
I missed that. You hugged him on the first visit?
Just goodbye, and
I think that no, you can't do that.
I know.
In a business setting?
we were leaving. I mean, everything was done. And we had I should preface it by saying we had a really great couple conversations the earlier night about being out, the importance of being out, differences in his age group, our age group, and we just really bonded.
Did you do it because you knew he was gay?
Yeah, and I thought he would.
Would you have done it with any of the other guys?
No.
Okay.
I thought, yeah, and okay, so that's fair. That's a good question to ask, and yeah, and that was an assumption then, wasn't it? An assumption that I made that he would be receptive to just a little hug, and there was nothing meant by it other than that's a way I don't mind.
Somebody in my corporate life tried to do that. I pushed him right away. I mean, they tried to hug me, and I just pushed them back.
in your
shake hands.
Guy, what is this shirt called again? You're a
lumbersexual.
A lumbersexual. Okay, so the lumbersexual pushed him away, right?
Pushed him right away, and I mean, I pushed him because he was coming in. I pushed him. Like, you don't give me a hug and a kiss here in the workplace in the lobby. Who do you think we are? Anyway.
Yeah, guys, my story is not having any. In fact, you look at me very critically.
Well, I'm a little surprised at this, quite frankly. I'm not, but I'm teasing you.
You could ask Eric about it, but
I am
my
now.
whole
I'm
point of
gonna
that
make a
is
note.
that Eric had already had.
He understood what it was.
He had a body language vocabulary that he knew. Like I said, oh, you speak French, and in his world, it was like, oh, you're a hugger. Okay, I'm not a hugger, but I'll hug you. And that persists to this day, but that's okay. So
happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hey,
that was shop talk.
John, thank you for all the stuff today and our great show. And I'm thankful for you and our show here, and thankful to the listeners for all of the trust that you've given us and the support you've given us.
Thankful for
throughout the year.
that team.
And I'm thankful for, of course, Allie and Garrett and John.
You too, guys.
And all the support and trust. We know a lot of you.
Oh, yeah. John did the two fingers.
The
Disney point. The double digit.
So we know a lot of you followed us from our older platforms and are enjoying us here, and we also have many new listeners as well. So we want to wish all your families a happy Thanksgiving to your friends and families. We want to thank Nicole Johnson, who joined us here from Butterball. Be sure to give Butterball a call for the talk line if you run into trouble.
If you're in crisis.
If you're in crisis.
Yeah.
And we want to thank our friends at Deep Discount. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com and click on the Deep Discount logo and start shopping away. And then, of course, our friends at Volkswagen of America, if they're still talking to us now that John hugged one of the guys in marketing.
He's no longer there.
I know, I'm teasing you. Hey, they've got their Sign Then Drive event going on, which is, if you go to VW.com, you'll learn more about it. But there's some great deals in year-end models. And also on the new Tiguan, there's 0% down, 0% finance, 000.
I smell
Offers end November 30th.
But
I might check it out.
I smell a redo of the lease. And don't they have a new warranty, the 5?
The People's First
plan, yeah.
People's First warranty. So be sure to check out Volkswagen. And don't text and drive. Arrive alive.
See, Garrett,
gobble.
Garrett gave you a fist pump. I'll give you the double digit. Yeah, you did that well.
Why did you say it, John, against it?
Don't text and drive. Arrive alive.
There you go. That's more definitive.
Yeah, well, Garrett taught me that you have to have authority, and
you
you can't be timid about it.
Gobble gobble.
He doesn't even give it a thought. He just does it.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Gobble gobble. You did that
Gobble.
on serious ones, yeah.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on Sirius XM Satellite Radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.